Okay, so as per our previous discussion, during our previous session, theory session as well as practical session, we discuss about the implementation part of the switch, okay, to drive the relay. Now see, first of all, what is the purpose of that switch or why we are driving the relay right now? Previous to that of whatever we decided, that is to improve the power factor if needed. What why I said if needed? Because if that power factor measured by our system is above 0.7, then no need to take any action, right? And if it goes below the 0.7, then and then it should get detected as well as the action should get taken by the system. Now, last time we decided what action is to be get taken. Accordingly, so many various methods for the power factor improvement. I just highlighted the title, that is by using active methods, that is by using thyristors, we can improve it. And another one is the conventional one, that is passive method. Okay, and that passive method, it includes the use of bank of capacitor, or here we will consider only a single capacitor. Right. So whenever that capacitor will get added in parallel with the inductive load, that is nothing but our motor. That motor is an inductive type of load, and that's why there is current lagging. Right. If the load is of capacitive type, then the voltage gets lagged, or we can say current gets lead in case of capacitive type of load. Right. So as our discussion is for the power factor improvement and the load is inductive type, that means there will be lagging of current behind the voltage waveform, and hence to minimize that difference, phase difference between lagged current waveform and the voltage waveform, we will going to add one capacitor parallel to it. That means the capacitor will going to act as a secondary load to our system, and as it is capacitive in nature, we can say it will going on to lead the current waveform, so that the phase difference between that lag one, that is current which gets lagged behind the voltage waveform, it will get reduced. That means the phase difference between that current and voltage waveform, it gets reduced, right? So to add that capacitor if needed means if the power factor is below 0.7, then and then we will going on to add that capacitor. Otherwise, we'll going on to keep it as open or disconnected from the load, right? That is nothing but motor, correct? So if it is detected the power factor is below 0.7 and the system decided to add the capacitor in parallel with the inductive load. So one of the pin, last time already we discussed on that, we'll go on to consider it as an output pin, and that pin will go on to drive that system so that the capacitor will get added. Okay, so there will be one relay. Already we discussed all these points, but I will just take some review and then we'll go ahead. Okay, so see, during no action condition, that capacitor it should remain open. So here to the change over, I will going on to connect the live terminal, okay, and that capacitor I will going on to add it to the NO terminal, that is normally open terminal. This one is NC. We'll going on to keep it as open. We'll not going on to connect anywhere. So this capacitor, it will get connected like this, and parallel to the same system, there will be our load through another type of switch that also we will going to discuss today, and that will be again through the relay. Okay, so this will be our motor with respect to neutral again. Okay, so this one second switch, that will be again relay to turn on the motor or motors, right? There are two motors we are considering. So separately we have to connect them Separately means separate switch will be required, that relay. Only the difference is what? Abbreviation submersible pump, I will be going to write it as a SP with respect to neutral. Okay, so this is nothing but our switch 1 and this is nothing but switch 2. And this one I will be going to consider as switch 3, right? So see, this capacitor, it will be parallel either to that underground tank pump, that means the motor, or the submersible pump. Okay, it will going to act as a commonly parallel to anyone, because out of these two only one motor will be in operation, right? Either that underground pump and its respective motor, or the submersible pump motor, right? Is it visible properly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so to drive this system, to drive the relay, we are considering that electronic switch, and last time we discussed about the BJT and how it is to be configured with the microcontroller. Okay, so see, I think last time we determined the value of IB. How much it was? I think 1 milliamperes. Right now, detailed discussion we already done. So we will not going on to repeat it. That 1 milliampere current, it can be easily provided by our microcontroller because it can source up to 25 milliamperes of current. So no issue with this driver circuit by using the microcontroller. Okay, here it will be plus VCC, there will be freewheeling diode and all that. The purpose of that freewheeling diode also last time I explained, so you have to remember it. Okay, so the system will be like this. So see, if the power factor measured by our system is, we can say, above 0.7, then the system will be going to take no action. That means over here, controller output pin, there will be logic 0. This transistor, it will remain off. Relay will remain off. That means the changeover, it will remain connected to NC. Right now, that NO terminal, it will remain open over here. That means the capacitor, it will remain disconnected. Is it clear? And whenever that power factor will go below the 0.7, logic high will get generated by our microcontroller, transistor will get turned on, it will get forced into its on-switch region, so that the voltage drop across that switch, it should be as low as possible. How it is to be done, that also last time we already discussed, right now. And that relay will get operated, that live terminal, it will get connected to the capacitor with respect to neutral. That means this capacitor, it will came in parallel to the respective motor, either that underground tank motor or submersible pump. Is it clear? Now, our today's discussion is, can we go for another type of switch over here? Another type of switch means, can we go for MOSFET? That means we have to replace this BJT by the MOSFET, and then we'll go on to compare which one will be beneficial to us, or which switch, either BJT or MOSFET, will be best in such application. Okay, so I will show it like this. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
That phone call disturbed me, that's why I asked again. So see, in this case, first of all, just let me know, is there need of current limiting resistor if we prefer the MOSFET? See, in case of BJT, we use one resistor to limit the value of IB. But in this case, can we interface this MOSFET directly to the output pin? That means without any series resistor of our microcontroller. Will it be okay, or there is need of resistor? See, you already studied MOSFET in detail in EDC. That's why I'm asking. We're going on to apply that either logic 0 or logic high voltage or signal to the gate terminal of this MOSFET with respect to source. And this one is the drain terminal. Okay.
सर नाही लावला तरी चालेल.
Why?
IG is equal to 0 no?
Yes, very nice. 100% correct answer. See, for MOSFET, as IG is always equals to 0, there is no need of that series resistor, right? Only that potential, either 0 volt or 5 volt, that will going on to keep the MOSFET either off or on, or will going on to force into its on state, right? Then, one more important point. See, for MOSFET, you might have learned that RDS on. That means the resistance provided by the MOSFET between drain to source whenever it gets forced into its ohmic region. That means on switch region. So this RDS on generally for MOSFET, it is very, very small, right? Last year, you might have used one transistor, that MOSFET. You already done this practical by using that MOSFET, and that was IRF 540N. Okay, and RDS on, as per the data sheet during our practical session, I will show you that RDS on of this transistor, that is nothing but when this MOSFET will get forced into its ohmic region as an on switch, then the resistance provided, it is almost 0 ohm. It is 0 point something ohm, but here I will consider it as almost 0 ohm, negligible, right? So see, whenever MOSFET will get forced into its ohmic region, how much will be the voltage drop across this MOSFET? That is nothing but VDS. That is voltage at the drain with respect to source. Whenever it will get forced perfectly into its ohmic region, that means it will going on to offer almost 0 ohm resistance between drain to source. So as it will get perfectly closed and the resistance offered by this MOSFET, it will be almost 0 ohm. We can say that VDS, it will be approximately 0 volts. Are you agree with this? Are you agree?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So see, in case of that BJT based driver circuit, that VCE, whenever that transistor gets forced into its saturation region, that means again it's on switch region, that VC sat, it was almost 0.2 volts. Right now, by using that output characteristic and everything, I already explained it that VC sat for BJT it is almost 0.2 volts. So by comparing these two devices, which one will be more beneficial to us, or which device, which transistor we should prefer in such application? What do you think? Either MOSFET, we should go for MOSFET or BJT. One more is also there, that is IGBT, but it will be a combination of BJT and MOSFET. So we'll just select out of these two, anyone. So which one we should prefer?
MOSFET.
Because the voltage drop across on switch, already I explained, voltage drop across on switch, it should be as low as possible to avoid the wastage of power, right now. And that's why we'll prefer that MOSFET. Again, there is one reason why we should go for MOSFET instead of BJT. Can you identify? Just try to identify that reason. Okay, concentrate on input circuitry of that transistors. Where will be the power drop and where it will not be? If it is BJT, then there is need of input voltage to turn on the transistor. If it is BJT, there is need of logic high level, that means somewhat input voltage source. Am I right? Similarly, to turn on the transistor or to force it into its saturation region, that IB, input base current, it should be greater than what? IC by beta, right? That means in case of BJT, if we consider the base to emitter drop, that is input voltage drop, then how much it will be? It will be equals to, that means VBE equals to applied voltage, is it? Coming from the microcontroller as logic high level into IB. Are you agree with this? That voltage drop across base to emitter of that transistor. Yes or no? Current flowing through the transistor, that is IB, and as there is a resistor, across that resistor also there will be a power drop. That means we can say that VBE of the BJT, it will not be equals to 0. Are you agree with this? As there will be a flow of current at the input side of that BJT. In case of MOSFET, as IG is always equals to 0, right? So how much will be the voltage drop across gate to source? It will be 0 volts, right now, as input current is 0, or as the input current always remains 0. So the power drop at the input side by using MOSFET, we can make it 0. While in case of BJT, it is not possible, right now, as there is need of IB, base current, and hence MOSFET will be best. Is it clear? So this switching circuitry we discussed for either to connect this capacitor in parallel to the motor or to keep it in open state according to the power factor measured or the status of that power factor. Now, the same switching circuitry, that means somewhat transistor switch, that is MOSFET switch, with this relay and everything, it should get connected as S1 and S2. So there will be 3 driver circuits. One will be for the switching purpose of capacitor, either to add it or to keep it in open condition according to the power factor measured. Second switch, if our microcontroller decided to turn on the pump from the underground tank, that means this S1, same circuitry, complete circuitry, I replace it by S1. Okay. That means here it will be live connected to changeover NO instead of capacitor. You have to connect the motor with respective to neutral. Is it okay? And the remaining third one, that is S2, again same circuitry. If microcontroller decided to turn on the pump from the tube well, that is submersible pump, then this second switch S2, it should get operated. So there will be total 3 switches, and all 3 it should be MOSFET based. Is it clear now? Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Again, one more point we will be going to add in this our complete system. Almost our system is completed, and that point is either to operate our system in auto mode or in manual mode. Right? See, 2 times what happens, the conditions which we considered, like either underground tank pump should get turned on or submersible pump should get turned on and all that. But if there is a problem with the pump, if any one pump gets, if it is damaged one or any problem occurred with that any one pump and the controller decided to turn on that particular pump only, then it will not be possible, right? Or it will be somewhat harmful to that pump. Unnecessarily, that power will get applied to it, and if it is damaged one, then no use at all. That means we have to turn on the second option. Even if microcontroller decided to turn on the first, but if the problem is with the same one, that is first pump, then manually that system should be in both mode, that is either auto mode or in manual mode. Then manually we have to switch it. Okay, and manually we will go on to turn on it. Now, whenever that system will operate in manual mode, our complete system, it will get bypassed. Totally, it will get bypassed. Means it will not going on to sense anything. That means what is the TDS of water? Okay, then what is the level of water in that overhead tank? Is it at full level or either at reservoir level or any else, right? So yeah, that complete system, it will get bypassed. And that is nothing but manual mode, right? So just think on it, how we can make it, either auto mode or manual mode. Just think on it. Can anyone? You might have seen various types of switches. Okay. So whatever power we will going on to apply to our system, a switch, we will going on to connect it in series with the live. Okay. See, there will be our complete electronic system and it will get powered by the supply line only. Right now, there is 230 volts. Later on, we have to step down it, we have to convert it as per the requirement, that is DC and everything. But the main source for our system, that will be 230 volt RMS. Okay. So you might have seen the switch like single pole double throw. Manually we have to shift it. Right now. Such type of symbol you might be familiar. This is known as single pole and double throw, right? Suppose if this switch is shifted over here, then we can say it will be on to operate in manual mode, and if it will get shifted over here, then we can say it will get operating auto mode. Is it clear? Otherwise, that switch, or no need to keep it in completely isolated. That means any one mode will be there, either manual mode or auto mode. Again, one more switch is there, which can shift in both direction as well as which can shift at zero level also. So anyone we can use, right? Is it clear? So this auto mode system, that switch, whenever it will be shifted over here, then that supply line live, it will get connected to our complete electronic system. This is our completely developed electronic system, whatever we discuss. It will be over here, right? If it is in manual mode, then directly, again, we have to switch. One more switch we will require, and hence we will want to connect to single pole and double throw switch like this. Why I preferred one more switch over here? Because if we have to turn on the pump from the underground tank, then we'll want to connect it like this. Or if we have to turn on the submersible pump, then we'll switch that SPDT towards that respective motor. Is it clear? Whenever it is to be operated in manual mode, we will go on to decide which pump should get turned on, because we know with which pump there is a problem, either that underground tank pump or submersible pump. Is it clear? And whenever it will be shifted to the auto mode, then our system will go on to decide, our complete design and develop system will go on to decide, as well as will go on to keep the watch on the various parameters which we discussed. And then it will be in manual mode, no watch as well as no sensor will go on to work at all, because that switch will get shifted to manual. That means our complete system, it will get bypassed, as there will be no supply, no sensor will go on to work at all, as well as no action will be taken by the system. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So today during our practical session, we're going to implement these transistors both transistor, that is BJT, as well as MOSFET as a switch, and later on you have to implement the microcontroller, and initially you have to program it, and how to test our program is working properly or not. So instead of connecting initially that complete circuitry or without interfacing the actual circuitry, we're going to apply only either 0 volt or plus 5 volt, and according to our logic, or by what logic you will going to develop the program, according to the logic, the output of that microcontroller we are getting or not, all these things we have to check during the practical session. Is it clear? Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So if you have any doubt or query related to this complete system, whatever we discussed in detail, you can ask. Otherwise, we will start to wind up it. Wind up it means what? We have to develop the flow chart. Or we are going to discuss on that flow chart. Because from so many sessions, we have completed so many things. So one by one, we have to accumulate over here, because during the design part, you have to consider each and everything, as well as you have to give the priority. So is there any problem?
No, sir.
Okay. So we'll just take the review. That means how our system should get implemented from start to end. All these things we will discuss now. Okay. So according to you, what should be the first priority? First point. I will go on to note it over here. And the same you have to remember. Okay. Because during your examination, I can ask the complete flow chart. And then I will go on to ask the design part. If you don't know the flow chart, that means if you don't know the concept in short, then no use of remaining things. That's all. So what should be the first point? From where our system should get activated, or how it should start. So first of all, what you will want to sense?
Water level in the tank.
First of all, water level in the overhead tank, right now. Okay. So see, first of all, if that overhead tank reservoir sensor gets sense that water level as at a reservoir condition, then it will go on to generate the output as logic, high or low, which we considered. That should be at your end now. If it is considered as logic high, that means water level reaches to the reservoir in that overhead tank. Okay. We decided then and then our system should get activated. If water level is sufficient in that overhead tank, then no need of to take any action. Right now. I think instead of directly reaching to that reservoir condition, one more we added, and that was to check the TDS. Is it? So that sensor was kept at the bottom. TDS sensor, yes or no? At the bottom of that overhead tank. The TDS sensor, it was kept at the bottom of that tank, and whatever the resistive type of level sensor we considered, I remember it, we considered that tank like this. We kept that sensor somewhat like this, that is resistive sensor, inside the wall of that overhead tank, and the TDS sensor, it was kept at the bottom. Okay. So instead of reaching that water level directly to the reservoir, that means over here, whenever it reaches to its half level, I remember we consider the total resistance of that resistive level sensor. I think we taken it as 10 kilo ohms, right? So whenever that water level reaches to the half level, that means resistive sensor output becomes 5K, and then our system gets activated. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Over there, we consider that water level, it reaches exactly at the half, our system should get activated, and the action taken, it should be dependent on the output of this TDS sensor. Right now, I think that water TDS we consider as 200, na? How much we consider?
500.
500, okay. Okay. If it is below 500, right? If the TDS measure is below 500, then what we decided?
On
No
the
action.
submersible pump.
Yes, very nice. To turn on the submersible pump. Why submersible? Because for the tube well, water TDS is somewhat more as compared to corporation, right now. And that's why already the TDS is below our set value, so no need to worry about the which water it should get, or the tank by which water it should get refilled, right? And later on, that action taken will be turn on the submersible pump. Okay. So if that tank gets overflow, immediately the action taken, turn off that submersible pump. But without reaching to overflow, right now, that means if the tank reaches to somewhat we can say at its 75%, 3/4 level, and TDS sense by the sensor goes above 500, then also the action should be turn off the submersible pump. Am I right? Even if that tank is not overflow. Yes or no? Shall I repeat it? Or it's okay?
Okay, sir.
Okay, good. Second condition we taken, the water level reaches to the half level of the tank. Our TDS sensor is showing the TDS somewhat above 500. The action taken should be turn on the underground tank pump. That is water supplied by the corporation. Okay, to refill the tank. Now, before turning on that underground tank, see, all conditions we're going to check now. If water level reaches to the half and TDS measure is above 500, the action taken, turn on the pump from underground tank. But before turning on that pump, what we have to observe, is there availability of water, yes, in that underground tank or not. If it is there, then no issue. Turn on it and keep the watch on that water level of underground tank also. Okay, so that pump will get start from the underground tank, this overhead tank, it will start to refill. Now, before reaching to the overflow condition, if that underground tank reaches to its reservoir level. Got it? Before that overhead tank reaches to its overflow condition, if underground tank reaches to its reservoir level, turn off the pump and keep that water level as it is. Right now. in the first condition, whatever we consider, that means if the system decided to turn on the pump, that submersible pump, because the major TDS is below 500, we're going to turn on the submersible pump. Okay. One more parameter we will going on to check related to that submersible pump, and that was flow, water flow. Yes or no? The system decided to turn on the pump from that tube well, but the system have to keep the watch on the flow of water coming from that tube well. Am I right? So if that flow occurs, then no issue. Or if in between that flow gets stopped, immediately that submersible pump should get turned off. Yes or no? Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then later on, what we say is power factor. Whatever may be the pump turn on, that means either submersible pump or that underground tank pump, power factor should get measured. I think we consider that time slot also. After how much minutes? The power factor should get measured, should get checked. No need to keep the continuous watch. We're going on to give that period. Suppose after 5 minutes, the power factor, it should get measured by the system. If it is above 0.7, no need to take the action. If it is below 0.7, take the action. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
And at the end, we consider that transistorized relay driver circuit, either to add the capacitor, just today we discuss it, or as well as the another switches, the same switches, extra 2 switches to turn on either that underground tank pump or the submersible pump. And last point today we discussed, and that was either to keep in auto mode or in manual mode by using that single pole double throw switches. So all these things you have to consider combinedly, parallelly, okay? And that is nothing but the flow chart that you have to develop now by considering all these points. So is it possible to develop that flow chart by yourself? Because you are already studied related to that flow chart and everything in your current subject. Right now, there is one subject in that you are familiar how to design and develop various programs, because I know you interface that 7-segment display, LCD, keyboard, etc. So you are familiar now, according to me, right? So during our practical session, to write the program, who will take the care? Just let me know. Who will take the responsibility? I can't support to write the program, remember. That's why. Shall we divide the work in 2 groups so that it will get covered fastly? See, while testing our controller, our program is working properly or not, already I told, we're going on to consider the input to that microcontroller directly as logic 0 or logic 1. We're going on to connect the switch. And during the operation, just we're going on to either as per the logic, which switch should get closed, which switch should get open, etc. That means by considering the output of our signal conditioning circuit as logic low or logic high, we will going on to apply initially to test the system, to test the program, whatever you written, okay, that controller is working properly or not. To test it, we'll going on to apply a DC voltage directly from the through the switch, okay, and as the output will connect somewhat LEDs, number of LEDs. For example, one LED will go on to connect by considering as motor from the underground tank, second LED that is working as a submersible pump, third LED that is working as a capacitor. Capacitor gets added or it is in open condition, right now. That means again output we will go on to check either which pin the logic high will get generated to turn on that respective switching circuitry, transistorized relay driver circuitry. Okay. So instead of measuring the voltage, we will go on to connect the LEDs, and as per our logic, that respective LED should get turned on. Similarly, in between, if any disturbance occurs, that means what we will do, we'll go on to disturb the input switch. Immediately that previously turn on LED should get turned off. So each and everything logically we will go on to check. Okay. So I want two groups from your class. One group will work on the software part, that is program part, and another group that will go on to work for the hardware. Once that software part will get checked, later on, all that signal conditioning circuit, we will go on to interface with the same controller, and we'll go on to check the output of our completely designed and developed system. So is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so just let me know who will take care about the software part and about the hardware part. Or shall I divide that work from my side?
Yes, sir.
From my side, it will be very simple. Okay. So see, after diploma students will go on to work on software part, and after 12 students will go on to work on hardware part. Will it be okay? I purposely divided this, purposely assigned that software part to after diploma students because they already studied microcontroller in detail during their, or they are familiar with the program part also from their diploma, right now. Will it be okay? And it is not mandatory, only that responsibility is given. It is not mandatory that another side group member should not work in the opposite side. You can, but only you have to take the responsibility. So is it okay now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. After diploma student, anyone? Are you agree with this?
Yes, sir.
Ritesh,
Yes, sir.
to take the responsibility, programming
Yes.
part, and
Yes, sir.
after 12 students will take care for the hardware part. Okay. So our time is also over. We'll stop and we'll meet today at 2:15. Your practical session is now